because this brings card. Yeah, they surrender to that. And also I believe we haven't lost a single game. GG. Hello YouTube, welcome to this fine day, and today we are going to have a look at Feather the Redeemed in Historic Brawl. This deck aims to win by playing out the commander, and from that point on, every instant sorcery we play targeting one or more of our creatures returns to our hand at the beginning of the next end step. From that point on, we can basically play protection spells over and over and over on our creatures. For example, God's Willing, that just gives protection from a color of our choice, so our cards, including our commander, get really hard to remove, and then we just keep buffing them, either with temporary buffs like Take Heart, or with some more permanent buffs like Guiding Voice. And basically it is a Voltron strategy that can also buff other creatures than the commander. For example, Krenko Tin Street Kingpin is a great card to buff, but we also have cards like Gutter Snipe that you don't need to buff, but just by playing a lot of instant sorceries, Gutter Snipe deals an amazing amount of damage to the opponent. We also have some nice interactive pieces, Mana Tithe, Swords to Plowshares, all the good stuff, Curse of Silence, basically the best removal spells and cheap removal spells in Boros that we have available to us. And we can also run Strict Proctor and Hushbringer, because Feather basically doesn't run any creatures that have ETB or leave the battlefield triggers. So Hushbringer is a pretty free card to play in this deck, and it's decent to buff because it has flying, so it's unlikely to get blocked. It has lifelink, so it is great against other aggro decks if you buff it, and they can't race you because you're just gaining so much life. And this effect can really mess up some decks, it's really annoying. Selvala decks have a really hard time dealing with this because the mono green Selvala is all about creature entering the battlefield, so nothing basically triggers. Yawgmoth, no death triggers whatsoever, so that's pretty hard to deal with. Yeah, overall, pretty good stuff. Yeah, our curve is pretty low to the ground, as you can see, but make no mistake, this deck is extremely mana hungry, I do admit I have a low land count for this. We have 35 lands and 2 dual face lands. And we are going to mulligan for lands usually. Also, the colors in this deck are really bad, like worse than some 5-color beds that I've played, because 5-color decks that I've played, because if you play, for example, Feather on 4 and a white protection spell, you need to have exactly red, white available, like exactly those colors. And this is a theme you will see a lot, because you can basically switch from, let's say you have a lot of white protection spells and a lot of red damage spells. You go from protecting your stuff, so you need a lot of white, to wanting to deal a lot of damage, so suddenly you need a lot of red. So like dual face lands are at a premium in this deck. The only tapped dual land I play though, like that always comes in tapped, is basically Temple of Triumph, because the tap lands really hurt this deck. But we also don't have too many options of cards like Sacred Foundry, the Pathways, so these are great because they come into play untapped and give us color options, but we sadly don't have too many of those currently available to us. We play some 2-mana ramp pieces, Ornithopter, Arcane Signet, Magda, Brazen Outlaw, even like Strike and Rich, to have the option of playing Feather on turn 3 with a 1-mana protection spell up, which is really valuable. Yeah, this is basically it for the deck tech. Hope you enjoy the upcoming video. If you do, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and if you don't, just comment how much you hate it. Let's go. We are ready to play against Tiamat, and let's see. Opponent goes first, so that's pretty great. We don't have a single protection spell here. Honestly, we only need like 1 buff spell, or like 2 right now, so I'm inclined to mulligan this. This does seem better. I do like the Hushbringer, but I think I'm supposed to mulligan really aggressively in this deck. I want protection right now. Yeah, I don't think the Reckless Charge will do too much in this matchup. Reckless Charge is an insane card in this deck though, because We target our creatures so it returns, and we can just repeatedly move their creatures. If they have only small to medium-sized threats, that is absolutely backbreaking. Our colors line up quite well here. Don't need another buff. And I do have an additional threat here in the Kiln Fiend. So let's see. Urban Utopia, sure. Yeah, Kiln Fiend, go. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to play Feather here. On 3. If they have board wipes, I'm super sad. Like, really sad. Oh, yeah. With this Strike Attach now, I know that I have the mana to do exactly this, so... yeah. I know I have the mana to Sheltering Light plus Feather next turn. The question is, do I use this Guiding Voice, cycle one of these buff spells away? I think I think I will draw another buff spell for sure, and I think one of them is enough right now. Yeah, another natural land. If they block this, I'm absolutely fine with that. Should have done it in combat though. Oh no, this is a sorcery, right? Yeah, those were all sorceries. Galazeth Prismari, sure. Yep, and now I can give my cards indestructible, which is great. So we attack. Sheltering Light, and if they want to block that, sure, indestructible. Goodbye, Galazeth. I don't think I need to take card. Wait, it is... oh, I think take card is great here actually for finishing the game. Because what ends up happening is that I do have a lot of white here. I can do a lot of things with my white mana. So I have red, white, white. Red, white, yeah. I have a bunch of things to do basically. If they minus on something here, I can Sheltering Light again. Yep. Use this mana. Protect the feather. Yes. Okay, return. And is this lethal? Probably not. Yep. Swinging. I am going to kill the Nicobolas here. And buff you. And now I have Mana Tithe and Sheltering Light up. I feel really safe. Yep. And turn. And return all of the good stuff back to my hand. And with this Mana Tithe, I don't think there is anything they can do here. Like, Tiamat just gets countered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they didn't have enough mana for that anyways. It's a cool artwork though. Oh, yeah. And that is the game. GG. We are ready to play against Sarkhan. And... Interesting. So Esper Sentinel is pretty decent if we manage to play it on turn 1 because it's going to draw us cards, but double red is kind of not what we want here. Buffs are effectively buffs that buff toughness are pretty good in this matchup because red based removal is always damage based mostly, so. And Feather having 4 toughness is really good because Sarkhan does 3 damage with his -2. I am in this deck. I really want to have the nuts basically, so I'm gonna mulligan this. Yeah, sure. This doesn't have any buffs, but hear me out. This hand does have a lot of damage, and Hushbringer is actually pretty annoying. Yep, Lightning Bolt. Yeah, sure. I'm going to give them a target for their removal spell, and it's going to be Leonin Lightscribe. No thrill. Okay. No removal. So the question becomes, is it safe to play Feather here? Crucible. Discarding a land, yeah. Oh, pretty good. Good stuff. And I say yes. And it's safe to play Feather here. I assume that they are just going to play Sarkhan. If Feather does not die here, we basically win. If Feather does die, it's not over because we can sudden breakthrough for ramp. I could have also just played a sudden breakthrough here and then buff the Leonin Lightscribe to guarantee Feather plus Shader here, but the upside is just absolutely massive. Yeah. I do have one protection spell already, so I don't think I will need this Sajiri's Shelter. That being said, what is my play? And I think I want to go Tapland, Sudden Breakthrough on the Lightscribe, kill the Sarkhan and deal 4 damage to their face. I think it's important to keep their commander off the board here, as that can threaten my Lightscribe and produces more and more Shivered Dragons. I do have protection up now, so yeah, I feel very, very, very confident. Let's see. They basically have infinite land drops with this Fabled Passage plus the Crucible of Worlds. Glorybringer is fine, sure. I do have protection. They are... Yeah, interestingly enough, they are not doing... Yeah. I mean, okay, here's the thing. If they forgot to exert Glorybringer, that's probably why they surrendered. But even then, if they targeted Feather, I would have just Lightning Bolted their face. So Feather would have had 5 toughness from this Leonin. If they targeted Leonin, I would have sheltered. And that's just... Yeah, no way for them to deal with this anyways. GG. We are ready to play against Chulane, Teller of Tales, and removal is kind of what we want. A Reckless Rage is basically winning the whole game. Swords is great, and it's also 2 mana protection spell. We can Swords a Mana Dork, which really slows them down. Yeah, I like that. Swords Mana Dork do nothing on turn 2, unfortunately, but I think they have a bad... Oh, wow. I do think they have a hard time, actually, dealing with Feather on Curve. Are you... Yep, sure. And I'm going to do this now so they can't wash away my Feather. Interesting. Oh yes, okay, this is really good. Now Feather is indestructible, which likely won't matter that much against them actually. I don't expect them to have fight spells, I expect them to have Swords to Plowshares and whatnot. So I really feel safe once I have this Feat of Resistance on the field. Yeah, Redain, there is only one card in our whole deck that gets hit by Redain, and that is the Show Off the Skulls, which I unfortunately do have in hand right now. My mana is pretty amazing though. Swing at you. Yeah, sure. And Feather can't block this turn, but we draw another card here. And I do want this Feat of Resistance up. Sadly didn't draw another land here. I was basically gambling by putting back this land that I would get another land here, but oh well. I don't think I need the Indestructible from Sheltering Light. I do not think that will be too relevant over the course of this game. Mana was Sliver, they're ramping, that is fine. Yeah, pass turn. Sure. Hushbringer is... It's a fun card. I'm not sure how effective it is against them because Chulain is on cast. Currently it doesn't matter too much, but there are some cards that it really shuts down in their deck. I think I'm leading on the Dragon Rage, so I get additional card filtering. And target feather here. Don't need you. Draw a card. Yeah, there's a land. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. And... I think I want to... I think I want to draw another card, or do I want to push damage now? I think I want to push damage. Yep. Yeah, that's another land. I want to hit land drops right now. My intention is of holding up the feet here again. And then using the Hushbringer after the Chulain comes down. Hushbringer does not stop Chulain, right? But... Yep, Feet of Resistance. Keep the land on top, pro-white. But it is great at stopping something like a Beast Whisperer. All the, like, whenever a creature enters the battlefield, draw a card effects, which really go off with Chulain. Could have swung with Redain here. Oh well. Instant, all those instant. I think I just want to push damage, right? How do I do that in the most efficient way here? I think I'll start on Infuriating. Yep. Ooh, Build to Smash. Yeah, that does seem like a lot of damage. So you get Trample. Keep you on top. Swinging. And now I have the Build to Smash available. Yep. Push more damage. Let's put a land into grave for Dragon Rage Channeler. And now Hushbringer. I assume they didn't have another removal spell last turn and my board is already very threatening. Yeah, okay, this Hushbringer, they didn't like that. But I was tapping out here because they could have removed Swords of Plowshares previously, but remove Feather with Swords of Plowshares previously, but they didn't have it, so I assumed that was a top deck. So I think those two cards were not threatening to my Feather. And by playing this Renegade Tactics, I'm using my mana very efficiently, and I can't play Feet of Resistance off of 1 mana anyways. So yeah, GG. We are ready to play against Tishana. And protection is what we want. As opposed to indestructible against Simic. We do have a 1-drop, which is great. We have additional card filtering. They go first, so I heavily assume that they can counterspell my Feather. But if they do that, I can still just win off of this Soulscar Mage, and I'm willing to just aggressively filter my hand and sculpt it. Because this can draw a card, this discard draws a card. Don't think there is a world where I can... Like, if they play this somewhat correctly, I don't think I ever get to I don't think I have too much breathing room to play Feather either way. Like, I always have to play around counterspells and whatnot, and having a 1-drop that pressures them is really great. Mistbinder, sure. Cave. And I'm going to Lightning Bolt that for sure, and I think I'm going to Guiding Voice. I think it's Merfolk Tribal, right? this is very risky to discard. Because I really want this dual land. Ancestral Anger. Honestly, it's decline. I need a land for this Fury Comsnar to come in untapped. And Ancestral Anger is my draw engine after Feather results. And I need the Feet of Resistance as protection against them. So I think this is one of the few times where I just... yeah. Just don't discard draw here. Holotech. And now I can start applying a lot of pressure, constantly putting +1/+1 counters onto things. I would have loved to discard this to the learn, because if you flashback a card, after flashbacking it returns to your hand with Feather. Anyways, I'm going to give Soulscar Mage Trample. Yeah. Going to put some counters on Feather. And I'm going to keep up one of two protection spells, basically. And I believe this is extremely dangerous for the opponent now. Let's see. What can they do? Yep, Jade Light Ranger. That won't help you. You should discard that. You need to find something to deal with my board. I'm just blocking that. I don't care. Yep. Ooh, Swords to Plowshares. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. Yep. Mystical Dispute. I mean... I'm not going to pay decline. Really want my mana. Swing in. And... yeah, attack you. I hold up the protection spell here. Yeah, this was a bit off lethal. I could have given protection on this, and just get around, like protection from green, they can't block it, but I was still a bit off here, off lethal. I really now feel very safe with this double protection up. Yep, don't care. They surrender. Yeah, GG. We are ready to play against Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons. And black is an interesting color, and them going first is quite problematic. Yeah, don't think I can keep this. Ooh, I like the Lightning Bolt against Hapatra, especially if we're going first. And then some other creatures other than Feather. 2 mana protection spells are not ideal. I want to have something for 1 mana, but yeah, this will do, especially because I can deal with their early Hapatra. Okay, do we bolt the bird? I say no. And I'm going to play the red first, so I can Lightning Bolt their commander. And then Swords to Plowshares something, some other problematic card, basically. Boom. Okay. I ideally want more mana. Yeah, now it is coming back to bite us that we just don't have that many lands in our deck. I'm very willing to cycle this Shelter later on, or like just next turn if I don't draw land. Phyrexian Tower. They have 5 mana available right now on turn 3, which is scary. Very scary. Western Beast, sure. Goes in. I don't even consider it that much of a threat right now. I think I will play the Scudder Snipe. I don't consider it a threat, simply because I do have the Hushbringers, and whenever I begin buffing a Hushbringer, I just gain a lot of life. And my damage comes in there anyways. Gutter Snipe is not here to attack, just gains me passive value basically. They play Rankle. Yep, that is indeed a threat, but I don't think they will go to sacrifice, right? I doubt that. I would, yeah, don't need the strict Proctor here. I already have that effect on Hushbringer. Oh yes. I think I take the risk. Simply because they didn't have more removal here. Okay. This is basically how the game gets decided. Don't hover Feather. Don't hover her. Sure. Okay, go to 10. If I'm going to discard a card, it's going to be the Shelter. Oh yes, draw me cards. Yep, sure. And now I have a Swiftblade Vindicator, ooh, and a Leona Lightscribe. Yeah, let's just pass the turn. I'm going to Feed of Resistance the Hushbringer, giving it Pro Black. Shaper Sanctuary, sure. That draws the one card, but I really want to deal with this Rankle with a Feed of Resistance here, for sure. So let's give. I can also just no. Yeah, I can't. If I give this +1/+1, I still can't block the Questing Beast. Is the problem here? Yeah, block Rankle. And next turn I can. Also, oh yeah, true. Protection doesn't work for damage specifically here in this case. It's my advantage. Boom, Swords to Plowshares. They draw a card, sure, but I get to crash in with a bunch of damage. I'm very, very happy with that. Everybody in. And if this Lightscribe gets traded for the Patra, here's what it is. So let's see what's happening here. Yep, I'm willing. Or am I? Oh, I think it's the Vindicator over the Lightscribe, right? Because the Vindicator is not very useful without the Lightscribe right now. I need a buff anyways. Very, very likely that I'm just going to play this Feather out here. Now, I'm super, super glad that I got to put a counter on this Hushbringer. That just gains me all the life I need here. Oracle of Moldaya. Sure, Giza doesn't do too much here. And yeah, they can attack. It gives death. Oh my god. Yeah, Mavinda is amazing here. Because this brings card. Yeah, they surrender to that. And also, I believe we haven't lost a single game. GG. We are done with the games. I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. And yeah, Feather the Redeemed is a very, very strong and fun Boros commander. So, I believe we have not lost a single game. And I usually tend to just hit the record button, play all the games, and then just put it on YouTube, no matter if I lose all of them or win all of them. Basically, just a slice out of my daily Magic routine, right? So, this deck is pretty strong. There are a lot of good cards I haven't put into the deck. There are plenty of effects that are basically 1 mana, target creature +2/+2. I've cut like 3 or 4 of those. I've also cut 2 mana double strike effects, which are also amazing. I just didn't feel like they did enough for what I wanted them to do. And that is basically they weren't doing too many things without the right setup. That is, I think, what it boils down to. But I do believe that in the end of the day, this deck, because I excluded so many cards and a lot of commons and uncommons as well, is a great budget option. And if you want to play this deck on a budget, what can you cut? What do you need? And honestly, I recommend you crafting the lands for the consistency, the mana fixing lands specifically. You don't need the man lands, but mana fixing is really important in this deck. You can cut basically every single interactive piece that does not have to do anything with feather. So God forbid I'm saying this, right? But you can cut Mana Tithe, Swords to Plowshares, Lightning Bolt, Fateful Absence. Basically the most important cards to just craft, to have in your general collection here. You don't need as much in this deck. Like Swiftblade Vindicator is a card, a category of cards that you kind of want, right? Those are the cards that you buff up with feather, or like even without feather, and just can you win you the game. Specifically, Vindicator is not needed that much, but I do think Dreadhorde Arcanist is amazing. Leonin Lightscribe is really good. Soulscar Mage and Mavinda specifically is a monster, because so in the last game the opponent surrendered to Mavinda because Mavinda allows you to cast 1 instant or sorcery from our graveyard, and basically give it flashback, and then it gets exiled. But Feather also exiles, and we replace that exile, like both check, okay, it goes to exile, sure, and then I get it back with Feather. So it allows us to basically have our graveyard as an additional hand, and that is just absolutely insane, right? So we basically in the last game we were bringing back our instant sorcery from the graveyard over and over, and just basically win that way. I do think Electrostatic Blast is a great interactive card because it can also target your own creatures, and I think all the mana cards are really important as well. So Mox Amber and Magda give you this turn 3 feather with 1 mana up for protection spells, so I think that is important. And basically all the cards I didn't talk about here you can probably cut, like Hushbringer, Strict Proctor are pretty good, but you don't need them. Shot of the Skulls, amazing when it goes off, but you also don't need it because there is so many instant sorceries that buff your creatures. You can just fill your deck with those. Your deck gets a little bit less utility and a bit more streamlined and linear, I think. It is what I want to say here. And you can't deal with every single access your opponent throws at you anymore, because if you cut the removal, then some cards that you really want to get out of their way, like a Thalia, for example, that is just an annoying card for this deck. If you can't deal with those cards anymore, it's kind of annoying, but it's still manageable. And it's not every single game anyways that you play against those. So yeah, great budget deck, I believe. Craft the color fixing lands first, then some of the creatures, like basically anything that ramps you, and then the creatures that like to get buffed, and specifically Mavinda. Yeah, hope you enjoyed today's deck. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you tomorrow.